All right, welcome back to ABA exam review and the continuation of our RBT practice exam series. Where we're going through another set of questions together and breaking them down. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Please subscribe for all of our updates. Check out btexamreview.com for all of our study materials, including our combo pack. When you pass your exam, let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. Let's get going. Dana is working with a 5-year-old who struggles to sit in their chair for long periods of time. Initially, Dana provides the child a break after 30 seconds of sitting in the chair, but then moves to a full minute and continues to add 30 seconds until the terminal behavior of 10 minutes is reached. What technique is Dana using? So, looking at an intervention question here, and we're trying to identify what intervention or technique is being used in the scenario. So, we have Dana, who's working with a 5-year-old who struggles to sit in their chair for a long period of time. So, essentially, what Dana's trying to do is to increase the client's chair sitting or helping them to sit in the chair for a longer period of time. And how is Dana going about doing that? Well, she's reinforcing the child with the break if they sit for 30 seconds. Once they've sat for 30 seconds and they've got reinforced, she then moves to a full minute and then continues to add 30 seconds until the terminal behavior is reached. Now, what do we call it when we have a terminal behavior or a final target behavior and we are reinforcing approximations until we reach that final behavior? Because that's what Dana is doing here. Each 30-second increment is an approximation for the terminal behavior of 10 minutes. What strategy is Dana using? A differential reinforcement of other behavior procedure, or DRO. With the DRO, we are reinforcing for the absence of a behavior. In this case, the child has to sit for the allocated amount of time, so it is not a DRO. B, task chaining. With the task chain, we've done a task analysis and we have steps that we are teaching to achieve a complex skill. Dana is not teaching a task chain here. We're focused on that singular behavior of sitting. C, shaping. Yes, we are shaping. With shaping, we are reinforcing approximations of behavior until we reach a terminal behavior. And that's exactly what Dana is doing. She's continuing to shape up this 5-year-old's behavior by adding 30 seconds of sitting each time. Each additional 30 seconds, each additional time is a closer and closer approximation to 10 minutes. And then D, prompt fading. We did not discuss prompting. We were not discussing fading here. We're simply shaping the behavior. So what technique is Dana using? She is shaping. Which of the following scenarios best represents the use of non-contingent reinforcement? All right, so we have a term, and when you get a term, you want to define that term. So what does non-contingent reinforcement mean? Non-contingent reinforcement is an antecedent strategy where reinforcement is delivered regardless of the behavior. Typically, this happens on a schedule. When we talk about a contingency, we mean an if-then statement, a first-then statement, where something is required to happen in order for something else to happen. In simpler terms, let's say we have a contingency where a student must complete 5 math problems before going on break. The contingency is if you complete 5 math problems, you go on break. When it's non-contingent, there is no contingency. That break is just delivered at a certain time. So we're looking for a scenario where there's no contingency for reinforcement. A, each time you complete one set of push-ups, you take a sip of water. What is the water contingent on? It's contingent on you completing the push-ups. That is not non-contingent. B, you work for 25 minutes straight and then set a timer for 5 minutes so that you can relax. What is the relaxation for 5 minutes contingent on? It's contingent on working for 25 minutes straight. C, every hour on the hour, you make sure to eat something regardless of what you're doing at that moment in time. Now, if you're eating something regardless of what you're doing at that moment in time, there is no contingency in place. You're simply eating on a schedule without a behavior contingency. So C looks pretty good. D, your boss lets you go home early to see your boyfriend because it is Valentine's Day. Why did you get to go home early? Because it was Valentine's Day. If Valentine's Day, you go home early. The one scenario where there's no behavioral contingency is going to be C. Every hour on the hour, you make sure you eat something regardless of what you're doing at that moment in time. You go to your apartment's gym every morning. You have to swipe your key to get inside. Today, when you arrived, your key was no longer unlocking the door. You tried a few more times and then gave up. What affected your behavior? So we have a behavior change question. And with the behavior change question, we're typically looking at consequences. Consequences affect future behavior. So what behavior are we looking at here? You always want to identify the behavior of interest. Well, we know you go to the gym every morning and you have to swipe your key to get inside. Today, however, when you arrived, your key was no longer unlocking the door. So put yourself in that scenario, and this is what you should be doing in your daily life, examining your daily life through the lens of ABA. How can you apply what you're learning to your real life? If you are conditioned or used to swiping your key to get inside, what's going to happen when your key no longer unlocks that door? Well, you might get a little frustrated. You might try to swipe the key more frequently or with more force or more magnitude, and your behavior is going to temporarily change. And what we call that is an extinction burst. Now, why is your behavior on extinction if the key is no longer unlocking the door? Well, previously, your key would work to swipe to get inside. And so your reinforcement would come after you swipe the key, you go inside. Today, though, the key did not unlock the door and you did not receive reinforcement. So reinforcement was withheld for previously reinforced behavior. So what affected your behavior? A, reinforcement. You were not reinforced. Reinforcement leads to an increase in future behavior. What happened here was you tried a couple more times and then gave up. So your behavior decreased, if anything. So were you punished? You were not punished. What is the difference between punishment and extinction? With punishment, the consequence adds something or takes something away. With extinction, something is simply withheld. And here, your reinforcement for swiping the key was withheld. Your previously reinforced behavior of swiping the key no longer contacted reinforcement, so you eventually gave up. And so, what affected your behavior would be extinction. You trying a few more times would be part of the extinction burst. The company that Jan, a behavior technician, works for is starting to take on additional clients. The clients need assessments done, treatment plans written, including behavior plans, and parent training procedures set up. The plans then need to be implemented correctly. What is Jan's primary concern as the technician? What do we mean by Jan's primary concern as the technician? Well, as a technician, you have a primary role, and your first number one role is implementation. You are to implement the behavior plans and the treatment plans and whatever is written and you're trained on by your supervisor. You're also there to primary collect data. Now, can you assist in other procedures and parent training and assessments? Of course. But we're talking your primary concern. So if Jan is the technician, what's going to be her primary concern given this information? Well, we know they're taking additional clients. There are assessments to be done, treatment plans to be written, and parent training procedures to set up, plus implementation. So which one of these is Jan's primary concern? Is it the assessments? Is it the parent training? Is it the treatment planning? Or is it the implementation? What's going to be the implementation? Jan's primary concern, above all else, is going to be implementing whatever is written correctly. She may help with the assessments. She may help with the parent training. She may help with the treatment planning. She may even do some of her own assessments and parent training. But her primary concern as the technician is to be sure things are implemented correctly. In service delivery, a lot of times the technician is going to spend more time with the client than the supervisor because you may be working with the client 3 or 4 times a week and your supervisor might only be there once every 2 weeks. That's the typical model. That's why implementation is so important because when you implement correctly, hopefully we can see the progress we want to see. And we're going to track that progress through data collection. But given these 4 options, assessments, parent training, treatment planning, and implementation, the primary concern of the technician is going to be implementation. Discrete trial training is a popular teaching style in applied behavior analysis. Which of the following is not an advantage of DTT? All right, so when we talk about discrete trial training and DTT, it really is one of the most common ways to teach in ABA. And typically it occurs at a table where we have a very controlled setting. We deliver a lot of instruction and a lot of feedback in a rapid manner. Now, it has a lot of advantages, but as to everything, there are disadvantages. And the question wants to know what is not an advantage of DTT. So, what is something that is a disadvantage of discrete trial training? A, trials are rapidly presented, allowing for frequent feedback. That is an advantage. One of the great things about discrete trial training is you can deliver a lot of feedback and a lot of what we call consequences or maybe corrective feedback in a short amount of time. B, new skills can receive a lot of reinforcement in a short amount of time. Sure, not only can you deliver corrective feedback, but if the client is doing things correctly, they can contact reinforcement very rapidly. That's why it's a great way to teach and strengthen new skills. C, known skills start to generalize more during DTT. One of the disadvantages of discrete trial training is it's not great for generalization. When we talk about generalization, we're talking about skills being taught and then the skills transferring to untaught areas. With DTT, everything's very contrived, everything's very planned. It's not that conducive to generalization when we are using discrete trial training. And then D, prompts are easily integrated into DTT sessions. That is an advantage. It's very easy to prompt during DTT. It's part of the standard chain of events or order of operations for DTT. One of the main disadvantages is it's hard to generalize during discrete trial training, which is why we like to combine it with things like incidental teaching. Thank you for watching. Check out btexamreview.com for all of our study materials. When you pass, let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Please subscribe if you aren't already. Work hard, study hard. See you soon.